Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back to my channel, and we are now going to get in Love is Blind season 6, and we are now on episode 1. Before we get into this episode, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so you know I'm going to do videos, and let's talk about this episode. So the pod's back. There's people looking for love in the blind sense, in that way, in the pods. And I've noted that there is going to be a Love is Blind UK coming. I'll be on for that one because I'm telling you, the people in the UK, wow, it's gonna be raw. It's not. It's oh god, I don't know. I'll be prepared. I'll be prepared. Anyway, so in the opening sequences, I would say within the edits, it's making it out to be drama filled. That's all I can say. So then, as it does, in come all the girls in their women's area, and in come all the men in their men's area, and the likeys come in. Is it likeys? Lachey's, and the Lachey's come in and introduce themselves and kind of find out why people are there. So Dion speaks up and he says that he's always been there. He's always been when on the dating scene looking for the same thing, and he wants something different. ID says that she dances for teams, but she wants someone deeper. So Trevor speaks, Kenneth speaks, and then you got Jessica. Jessica has a 10-year-old child, and basically she is saying that everyone deserves love. But my question is when will she let the guys know that she is a mother? Should she say that straight off the bat? Or should she wait until she actually dials herself into a relationship, gets attached to someone, and they get kind of attached to her, then let them know? Because if they don't take that news well, it ain't going to happen for her in that sense. Because at the end of the day, as a mum, you come as a package deal. That's how it goes. You come as a package deal. So then they see us. You see Austin and Amy. You see Sonny and Vinny. You see another Amy, I believe, and an Ashley. So I'm like, the questions so far, little bit mundane. A little bit mundane. Trevor got mistaken for a nympho because of the way that he talks. Trevor says that he's a good-hearted person, and you see him and Chelsea have a bit of a conversation. They basically say that their dogs are actually called by the names that they've been given. So Chelsea's dog is called Trevor, and Trevor's dog is actually called Chelsea. I don't know if that's a compliment. I don't know if that's a compliment, because if I'm dating someone in these pod things and someone says to me, "Oh, I have a dog named Unique," but like, yeah, that doesn't fill me with the joy you think it would. To be fair, I like the fact that you like dogs, but it does not fill me with the joy that you think it would. Anyway, so we see Chelsea and Jimmy and getting acquainted. He's basically saying that he wants to explore and travel. And when he talks about exploring and travel, he's saying going to all the NFL areas and the NBA places. And I'm like, how is that traveling? When I thought he wants to go explore and travel, seeing as he's talking to a flight attendant and an event planner, I thought he was talking about countries. Now this man is just thinking about going to different stadiums where the NFL play and the NBA play. Woohoo! Anyway, we get to Jessica and Jimmy, and she describes herself as a homebody. And he talks about how he loves to go to restaurants, wine bars and stuff like that, but sometimes likes to be home pretty early. And already they're talking about how compatible they are. And basically he compliments her voice, and she loves that because nobody has complimented her voice before. And Jimmy says that he feels good about her, and Jessica says that she feels good about him. And I was like, are you going to tell him that within this process, if he does get engaged to you get married, he's going to be an instant daddy? You're getting comfortable with each other. I know this is the first instance, but you know what? I kind of get to know a person, and then at least by the second, maybe third date, lead into the fact that, you know what, you're a mama. Because at the end of the day, again, you come as a package deal. It can't be, oh, I'm just getting to know this person and not really think about my daughter. You've got to think about your daughter in that sense, because you got to be able to filter out the good from the bad in regards to the relationship or the person that you decide that you may want to marry out of this process. We shall move on. So basically, in Jessica's VC, she's talking about her 10-year-old daughter called Autumn. And basically, she says she wants to see her daughter happy. But she equated it when she explained in terms of how she wants her daughter to be able to see her being happy, was her basically getting married, her basically being able to get a man that's all about her and a good man. Yeah. Okay, we'll move on from that. So Jessica talks to Matthew. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, what can I say about Matthew? He starts off with, he has questions. He said pick a number 1 to 15. So she picks number 10. So he asks her something she excels at in a relationship. She says loyalty and devotion. And then she says, what about you? My dude said he wasn't expecting people to ask him questions. He was just going to answer the questions. And then he walked out of the room. And I'm like, is he listing people? Like, is he listing people in his book? Like, which ones take his shit and which ones don't? So then Matthew strikes again. I can't remember what the girl's name is. And he asked her a question. She's giving this long-winded answer, like she's answering this question. This man sits there, and then this man gets up and walks out the room. He walks out the room. And I'm like, why is this man on the show? What is he actually trying to do when he's picking these women off? Because he has specific questions in his book that he wants these women to answer, but he is not opening up to anybody. So I'm thinking, is something amiss here with this dude? Is something amiss here with this dude? Because my thoughts went up and down throughout this episode. So basically, he's saying that he would like to get better at first impressions, but he don't know how to speak to people. I'm just like, why are you even on this show, my dude? Why are you on this show? He is not going to find a way from this experience. He is not. So then we get to AD, the beautiful AD. Yeah, she ends up meeting Matt. So she asks him first, what is it that he's looking for? Now Matthew gets mighty comfortable with AD. And I'm like, he starts sitting on the floor and he starts opening up. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on here? Because he wasn't doing that with all the other girls. So maybe there's something, maybe possibly, there's something special about AD that makes him want to open up. So he's basically saying to her, give me a little more time and maybe I can win you over or someone else. And I'm like, this man just spilled his guts all over AD, like absolutely spilled his guts all over AD. When in actual fact, he was listing these girls off. He was listing these girls off and walking out of rooms and not giving a very good first impression. So AD, of course, feels that Matthew is a good guy. I'm going to say I was gobsmacked that he actually taught that much. I was absolutely, utterly gobsmacked that Matthew said as many words as he did during that date, to be fair. And then my thought was going, is he just weeding them out to get to the ones that he wants? So basically, AD in her VC says that she doesn't necessarily see red flags in guys, and that's something that she's got to step up to. So AD then begins to speak to Clayton. And Clayton likes to talk. Yes, he does. Clayton likes to talk. But AD and him actually have a vibe. It's all about the flirt with them at the moment. Basically, Clay, she didn't see any red flags in Clay at this stage. So she's saying that she's ready for the long-term commitment. And Clay said, well, I think I am. And I thought, are you sure about that, Clay? Because you don't sound very sure, but we'll see how this goes. So AD is basically believing that Clay can be a bit of a ladies' man. And I think that does kind of come out, especially as we start to move on in the episode. So it looks like that Clay and AD may like Clay and Matthew may like AD a lot. So Trevor is also saying that his number one at the moment is Chelsea. And Chelsea in the women's area is talking about Trevor quite a lot too. So the feeling may be mutual. Jessica likes Jimmy. And she's basically saying it was electric. And I'm like, my girl, you still ain't told him that you've got a child. But hey ho, we'll see how that pans out for ya. And AD basically said that she was surprised by Clay. So then when you move to the men's lounge, you see all the men having a chat, having a confab, they're getting on. And then you see Matthew sitting in a chair with just his book. And I'm like, this dude is literally in his own world. There's something was telling me there's something not quite right with Matthew, like seriously not quite right with Matthew, but you know, we'll move on in the episode. So AD, when she then talks about Matthew in the girls' room, and she's basically telling them how Matthew's literally just opened up to her, all the girls looked at her like, what? Say what? Matthew opened up? What the hell did you do to that dude? Because I think every single girl in there has had the certain experience of Matthew that AD has not experienced, except for one girl. But we'll get there. So, you see Amy and Johnny have a conversation with each other. And basically they do bounce off each other. So Amy talks about her likes, and they talk about their common interest in regards to anime, and Amy talks about her family being firstly they were from Puerto Rico, and then they moved to Barcelona in Spain, then came to America in that sense. And when she pronounced some of the words, they came out in that Spanish brogue. Johnny was done. Johnny was done as soon as she did that. Johnny was done. Basically, Amy said that she couldn't remember much of her childhood, but what she does remember is her dad begging people from the church to come to her birthday party. So they were both talking about like their backstories already. Amy's basically saying that she's ready for that next step, and I'm thinking within these pods, even though they're kind of dating, and yes, they have to get all the information that they need to know, it is literally basically like an interview. That's how I'm seeing it. It's an interview for a relationship. It's an interview for that ring. So basically, my thing is they're just at the moment glossing over the surface. They're not actually getting to the nitty gritty. Like we see most of the people's downfall within this show is they don't get into the nitty gritty, especially what life would look like if they got engaged or they got married, finances, this, that and the other. They don't go into that until way after, and then all hell breaks loose. But we shall move on. So you see Clay and AD chat again, and AD says that her name stands for Amber and Desire. So you can see they have a vibe. They do have a vibe, and they have a little flirt on. And basically they get into this little song thing. So when she says, okay, then let's flirt, Clay turns around and says, AD been on my mind all day. Oh, Clay. Oh, Clay. Oh, Clay. AD lapped that up. She lapped that up. Oh, and then she did the deep in her voice, like where she went, oh, Clay. He liked that. He did. But as again, ID is thinking that he is a bit of a ladies' man, but he's piqued her curiosity, so we'll see how that goes. So then you see Matthew and ID coming again. And I'm like, okay. He actually does like ID, like he does. And he was looking forward to talking to her. And ID saying that he's like a pistachio shell. And it's quite hard on the outside, but once you get in, quite soft and quite ready to be open. And basically AD's become quite protective of him, the same way that Matthew has come quite protective of AD. And basically they kind of, I was like, I was jumping in this because I'm like, they kind of have a vibe. They kind of have a vibe going. I was like, okay. So Matthew acknowledges that he sucks at dating, but then says to AD, saying all the right things, you know, all the right things. He's saying all the right things, that she makes him nervous and comfortable at the same time. And then he ends it with, he's definitely not saying this to anyone else at all. So, yeah, I'm just, let me move on. Let me move on, because I really was like starting to think, you know what, something may not be quite right with Matthew. Like, seriously. But I didn't know what it was at that point. So then in the women's quarters, Jessica is saying that she likes Jimmy. And I'm like, well, my dear, you need to let him know that you've got a child. You need to let him know that you've got a child, because you need to see, Jessica needs to see how Jimmy's going to take that news, because she could be getting herself all into this guy, him getting all into her, and then setting herself up for failure. So basically Jessica then decides at this point she is going to tell Jimmy that she's got a child. So Jessica and Jimmy get into the room. She lets out the slip. I think she says, oh, my boyfriend or my husband. Oh, I didn't mean to slip that out. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Jessica. You did mean to slip that out. You know, it weren't you saying the quiet part out loud. You meant to say the quiet part out loud. So Jimmy feels all these ways about her. And basically he wants someone who's accepting of his family, and basically saying that they were not accepting of certain women that he had in his life, but he did not expand on that. And I was kind of piqued, because I was like, well, what did you mean that they were not accepting? What do you mean by that? Please expand on that. But he did not. So Jessica gives him some kind of affirmation, and basically said that she feels, as she's talking to him, that he is such a good person. So basically she then leads into the fact that she needs to tell him something, but she's terrified how he will receive this information, because we all know some men don't take it well if they have a certain vision of how they expect the woman that they're interested in, or the potential wife that they will marry, to be. Like, in their head they have this superseded expectation. I think Jimmy is one of them. So she tells him about her 10-year-old daughter. That man was just quiet as a bloody monk in a monastery. Didn't know what to say at all. He was huffing and puffing and stuttering all over the damn place. And even when he was trying to pick it up and say it's not a deal breaker for him, that man did not sound sure. And Jessica pick up that the fact that he did not sound sure at all. She was hella disappointed as well. You could see by his reaction to what she said. And then the maddest thing is, when they were talking about her daughter, they kept calling her daughter an it. Her name is Autumn, and she's 10 years old, and she's close to her mother. They come as a package deal. He lost interest. From that point, he lost interest. He was just trying to save face. Jimmy was totally judging her, so he basically got the backstory in regards to how Jessica came about with her child, and basically that her daughter's father is still in the picture and they co-parent just fine, and she's never been married and she wants to be. I'm like, yeah, Jimmy done left the room. His body was still sitting there, but his spirit decided to say, I'm out. Jimmy done left that room altogether. So then you see Jimmy and Chelsea having a chat, because basically he's saying in his VC that he has a good connection with Chelsea. So I'm like, is Chelsea the backup plan then? Because Jessica, you were all in with Jessica at one point, probably getting to the point of saying you want to lock yourself off to Jessica. But no, as soon as Jessica said, you know what, I'll come as a package deal, that man was out for the motherfucking count. So when he said that his highest achievement was going to college and that his parents were really proud of him, Chelsea basically said that she didn't go to school. She never felt the need to go to college. just like, yeah, Jimmy was not expecting that either. Like, he's judging the hell out of these women. Like, seriously. She decides that she wants to lay it out. Chelsea wants to lay it all out there for Jimmy, and it could be a red flag. And he was probably thinking, oh shit, not again. Not again. Not me being swiped again by another girl that I like. But he was like, okay. And she explained that she got married when she was very young. She was 18 years old, and they were married for almost 5 years, but it just didn't work out. And she asked him if that scared him, and he says it didn't scare him, but he'd found out another story that scared him a little bit more. I was like, yeah, I don't like you, Jimmy. I don't like you, Jimmy. And then you got Chelsea all upset because there was no reassurance there. There was no reassurance. There was no validation from him. There was no affirmation from him. He just sees it as he sees it. Was listening to her crying and get upset, and he was trying to say that it's the exact opposite of what Chelsea thinks in terms of what he thought about her, because he's saying that he does like her. I'm sorry, Jimmy, your actions don't show it. So Chelsea left that room in tears, and Jimmy was there thinking, oh shit, what did I just do? And I'm like, yeah, because you were too bad mind about Jessica. That's why you get your comeuppance with Chelsea. Should have told Jessica the truth that you weren't in it as soon as she told you that she came as a package deal, but you didn't. Anyway, you see Trevor and Chelsea talking. Chelsea's still got the tear tracks on her eyes, but she's excited to have fun with Trevor. And you know what? Their conversation goes well, because she does end up telling Trevor about the fact of her being married and how long ago it was. And he took it really well. And he was basically saying that there's some men out there that just feel that women need to be a certain way. And I said, that's Jimmy. That is Jimmy. He believes that a woman, if he's interested in them, especially when it comes to marriage, because it's a serious thing, needs to be as pure as a driven snow. Someone his family would accept. So his family would not accept Jessica, who has got a child. And his family more than likely wouldn't accept Chelsea because she'd been married before. So yeah, Jimmy's gonna be on a limb out on his own. Hopefully he will, but we'll see. We'll see about that. So it carries on down, and you get to the women's quarters, and ID is talking in regards to her men, and she said her men's, because she's got two at the moment, Clay and Matthew. And she says that now you start to talk to the guys, there's a different atmosphere in the women's quarters, because everybody is a little bit playing their cards close to the chest. I says, yeah, if you learn anything from the last season, keep that shit to yourself. Don't be telling anybody else who you're chatting to or who you might be liking, especially if them girls maybe talking to the same person that you may be. And it was at this point that I probably was thinking ID may pick Matthew in regards to how they've been vibing and going off each other. But is all I can say in regards to Matthew. So basically Clay and ID talk again. Basically Clay is explaining how he looked up to his dad. He reflects and knows that his ego is huge, and that he believes that he's a smooth guy, is the chill and the coolness is a bit of a security blanket, because basically the women that he's chosen has not wanted him. So he has a bit of insight, but will he have enough insight to change that behaviour? I kind of thought ID clicked more with Matthew than she did with Clay, but we'll see how that goes. So ID basically says to Clay that she understands him, and to be that vulnerable is honourable. He wanted to get to know her more, basically, and he was hoping to take it to the next level. But then Clay literally put his foot in his mouth by saying that he was scared that when they get to the reveal, if he asks her to marry when they get to the reveal and they see each other physically, he wants to be attracted to her. He wants his wife to be attractive. So he was trying in a roundabout way to get ID to tell him what she looked like. And I'm like, after that, my guy, you just lost AD completely. My guy, completely. All I would say is AD is beautiful. AD is a beautiful girl. And she's right, because at the end of the day, why should she tell you what she looks like when that's not the aim of the game in these pods? It's called Love is Blind, not Love is partially blind, in the fact that you will get to know this girl, start to have little feelings for this girl, and then tell that girl to ask you what, then tell that girl to tell you what she looks like. It don't work that way. So basically, AD told Clay that she would not sell herself based off her physical attributes because it defeats the purpose of what they're trying to build. She understands that if that's how he works and believes that looks at everything to him, at the end of the day, she shut him down. Which was good. She shut him down because at the end of the day, it's disheartening to go through all of this with someone, get to the door opening, and then you not find that person attractive, and then you say that to their face, like make it known that you don't find this person attractive in the slightest. It's disheartening at the end of the day. So then Matthew and AD start to talk, and I have to say, this is where I was getting concerns with Matthew. At first I thought, okay, this is a man that really didn't know what to do, and this is the one woman that's made him come out of his shell. Boy, was I flipping wrong. Boy, was I wrong. He was playing a smooth game, and the reason why I clocked he is a giant red flag walking is the fact that he laid on that couch like he was on a therapist couch, saying all these buzzwords and love bombing the hell out of AD. That's how I saw it. Matthew was love bombing. Matthew was honestly love bombing, and then he's turning around and saying there's two outcomes in this. He'll either with her or he's not. AD was lapping this up, and I'm like, yeah, I don't buy you, Matthew. I really don't buy what you're selling right now. But AD is at the moment, because she's in the moment of that emotionalness with him. So basically, she's saying this, the validation from Matthew she needed, because she felt a lot today. She needed that from him. So Matthew's saying he's not embellishing. He's trying to be as honest as he can. And his greatest accomplishment was finding her. When he said that, I was like, yeah, Matthew, you full of shit. I thought, Matthew, you are full of shit, my guy. You've got buzzwords coming out the hill. You've got something written in that book, and you have a list of names who you going to keep trying this shit on and seeing if it sticks. So when he gets to the engagement part, he was talking about how he doesn't take it lightly. AD then asks him, which is a good question, to be fair. You can kind of tell who, even if you weren't like seeing the show as it is, even if you were literally like in those pods with them, you can kind of tell if you're talking to a black woman, to be fair, because we have this certain inflection in our voices. You can tell when you're talking to a black woman. So she asks him, how important is ethnicity and race to him? He then says it's not important at all. She wasn't going to give anything away at all. So basically, she's saying that she don't want to go on any more dates. And Matthew says, give me the word and I will leave with you. I was like, And I'll tell you why Matthew was giving me the heebs. He was giving me the heebs at this point, because we get back into the women's quarters and you see Amber starts chatting. AD keeps her cards close to her chest because she's listening to what's going on around her. So Amber is chatting to AD and basically saying that she had a good date with Matthew, and Matthew said all the same things that he'd said to AD. Amber was scripting them word for word in regards to what Matthew was saying. I was like, so is that the game I'm like, do these men not realise if you're in your men's quarters, women are in their women's quarters and they ain't gonna chat about you? Does he not realise that they will find out about the bullshit that he's pegging? So I kind of got the feeling that Amber was trying to play up in AD's face too, to try and get certain information over, but AD kept that shit close to her chest. She was like, Bet you don't. You ain't getting in here. Bet you don't. Shh. That's what she was doing. That's what I did. Amber weren't getting shit from her. So yeah, Matthew is a bit of a player in sheep's clothing. And that is where that episode came to an end. But I'll be back in quick succession with the next one very soon. As I always say, my renegades, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so you know I'm doing videos. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Peace out.